Hey, listen, we are so excited to have Pastor Dave Anderson. Pastor Dave, a great friend, a great staff member there for us at Abundant Life, now doing a tremendous job with your church admin. Listen, he is going to be talking to us about some very important features of what it means to minister in this day. Pastor Dave, welcome to the Huddle. Take it away, brother.
Hey, I sure appreciate your time, guys. Today we're going to be talking about some options for medical insurance. I know, as a pastor, I don't know if you've ever felt this way, but medical insurance seems really confusing, very expensive, and at times impossible to have. I remember being there. I remember serving in ministry without insurance, and how uncomfortable that was. So today we're going to talk about some options, what we consider to be the three best options, and hopefully this information will help you. And if you don't have insurance, or you're not sure if you have the right option, hopefully this information will be very helpful to you. So the first one we're going to talk about is the marketplace. Some people call it Obamacare. It's healthcare.gov. And now this is insurance that is purchased directly from the government. And when the government kind of manages, it's still companies like Blue Cross Blue Shield and others, but the government manages the way you purchase it and the way that the policies are administered. Almost everyone who purchases through the marketplace receives subsidies that make the cost more affordable. And those are based on things like your family size, your income, so you get those subsidies to make the cost more affordable. Now, here's something that is very important that you understand, is that churches cannot reimburse the cost of this insurance because it is a government program. So yeah, they can't pay, they can't, reimburse you for those costs. What churches can do, though, is they can add to your taxable income if they want to help you cover those costs, but they can't reimburse you, that is like tax-free income. Now, the plans and costs are based on the county you live in. For example, I live in Madison County, but I work here in Carlinville, which is Macoupin. My costs are more expensive than those of my coworkers simply because of the county I live in. So that goes into determining the cost of the insurance you can pick up in the marketplace. More and more companies are getting into the marketplace and offering more plans with more options. So, if you checked into it, a year or a couple of years ago, you might want to jump back in and look, because now there may be an affordable plan for you. I know my wife, Michelle, and I considered this option probably 8 or 9 years ago, and there were two plans available to us, and they were both going to cost over $2,200 a month. They weren't affordable for us. We couldn't do that. Now, when we log in and check, gosh, there was probably 30 different options for us. Many of them at less than half of that cost, that we saw before. So companies continue to make options available in the marketplace. So if you've checked it out in the past and it wasn't right for you, you may check it out again. It can be very overwhelming because there's so many different plans and so many different options. There are a lot of brokers, probably right in your community, that can walk you through the enrollment process. They can advise you on what the best options are for your situation. If you reach out to me, I can provide you with a link that would take you to the website where you just put in your zip code, and it would list brokers that can help you with these decisions right in your community. Now, one thing to consider is before you sign up for any of the plans in the marketplace, if you have a doctor that you like, you want to make sure that they're in network for that plan. Enrollment begins on November 1st. So, if you're looking for insurance options, now's the time to get this rolling so that November 1st date doesn't sneak up and get by you. The marketplace is a great option for ministers needing coverage for family. Because the more, it's almost like tax exemptions. The more family you have, the more subsidies that you're eligible for. It's also great if a significant portion of your income is a housing allowance, because the considerations are your taxable income. It's also a great option if you have any chronic illness or any pre-existing conditions, because those cannot be calculated into the price of the insurance you're being offered. The marketplace is not a good option if you're someone needing coverage only on yourself, because remember, the subsidies are like, again, like tax exemptions. The more family members you have, the more discounts you're eligible for. It's also not a great option if a large portion of your income is reported on a W-2. It's great if you have non-taxable income like a housing allowance. The next option I wanted to talk about today is a health sharing ministry. This is a good option that maybe a lot of people don't know a lot about. There are several of these health sharing ministries. A couple of the big ones are Christian healthcare ministries. I've actually used them in the past. There's MediShare and Samaritan Ministries, and there are some others. Now, these health sharing ministries are similar to insurance, but technically they don't qualify as insurance, for government purposes or for, like doctors and hospitals, you're considered uninsured even though you belong to one of these plans. And here's how they work. You make monthly payments into a pool with other members, and you share each other's medical expenses. Again, it's important to remember this is not considered insurance. So churches cannot, this isn't considered tax-free income. If the churches help you with these expenses, it's considered taxable income and needs to be added to your income. Now, these plans have some unique features. They're different, and it's not like traditional income. Sometimes they have unique or confusing deductible policies. You might go to a doctor one time for a checkup or some sort of procedure, and your deductible is this amount. You go back for something different, and your deductible is something totally different. And they have a lot of other unique things. I have a friend who belongs to one, and she makes her monthly payments not to the health sharing ministry, but each month she gets a name and an address of somebody she needs to mail her check for, a member who is recouping some medical expenses. So these can be unique. They're a lot different than traditional insurance. They often have exclusions on coverage for pre-existing conditions. So again, if you have a pre-existing condition or suffer from some chronic medical condition, this might not be a good option for you. Sometimes they have a lifetime max benefit. That's something, you want to be aware of. It could be a great plan for a long time, and suddenly you get some very critical diagnosis. You're dealing with some, major surgery or cancer treatment or whatever. And at some point you could cross over that lifetime benefit and no longer have this option. Health sharing ministries sometimes require you to negotiate directly with providers on price. I've had to do this before. You go in for a procedure. For me, it was an emergency room visit. I had to tell them I was a cash paying customer. I didn't have insurance. And then it was up to me to negotiate the best price for the care that I gave. And then, turn those bills over to the health sharing ministry and be reimbursed. It wound up working out okay, but it was just kind of weird, negotiating price with a hospital. These can be a great option for ministers who are looking for affordable options because they are typically very affordable. I think the one I had was like $500 a month. They're great for ministers who are very healthy and don't have any pre-existing conditions. They're also good for people who are willing to carry the administrative load of working with providers. Normally, if you have traditional insurance, you go to the doctor, maybe pay your copay and leave. With these, you do all that paperwork. You're the one that submits paperwork for reimbursements, and you're the one that submits bills. So, you're the one doing the administrative work. Again, these are not a good option for somebody who has a chronic or pre-existing condition. Finally, this is one that we consider the best option, and this isn't an option for everybody, but if this is available to you, this is probably your best option. Use your spouse's employer's insurance or some other plan if you have access to it, a legitimate insurance policy through your spouse, because these can be reimbursed as tax-free by your church if they use an individual coverage health reimbursement arrangement. It's called an ICHRA. They're very easy to set up. There's lots of websites online that can kind of walk you through the process, or give us a call here at your church admin. We can kind of help you with this. And here's kind of how it works once you set one of these up. It's not considered income. It needs to be separate from your paycheck. But let's say you can buy insurance through your spouse for $700 a month. You go ahead and make that payment, and then you submit receipts or some proof of purchase to your church, and they can reimburse you that amount tax-free. This is a great option for ministers who have, for some reason, can't buy insurance through the marketplace. And it can be a great option for ministers who are bivocational, who could either maybe get on a plan through their work or through their spouse's plan. So those are just 3 options. If you have any questions, if there's any way we can help you, again, email Andrew or myself. We would love to kind of walk you through this and take some of the confusion out and possibly help you find some affordable plan that will be a great blessing to you and to your family.
Thank you so much, Dave. We really appreciate that. And it's an important thing for all of us to consider. Hey, we are really honored to have Ed Garvin. Ed is one of a member of Team Illinois. And Ed and I were back youth pastors. I was about 40 at that time. Ed was about 18. We were youth pastors, starting my ministry as a lead pastor, then Ed at Abundant Life in Alton, and former lead pastor at Bloomington Normal. Ed's good to see you, buddy. Ed, give us your job title, if you would.
So I am the Senior Vice President, Chief Partnership Officer at Convoy of Hope, which basically means that I'm eye candy.
Yeah.
And you can see by this face how they made just a horrible mistake. But no, I work in the office of the president, and honored to be a part of just a really incredible ministry.
Yeah, Convoy really is an amazing ministry. And we, Ed was so generous with his time, going to give us some information here. Every church probably has people who want to give to these 2 devastating hurricanes that Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina have experienced. And Convoy has been on the ground and has continued to be on the ground. And Ed, can you just help us to help our people to know what Convoy is doing, and then how can we give to help what's happening?
Yeah, Phil, thanks. I think that's a great question. So, and I would say this, for 15 years as a lead pastor, we supported Convoy of Hope. And one of the things that I loved about supporting Convoy of Hope was when folks would come up to me on a Sunday or Wednesday, and they would ask me, "Hey, Pastor, what are we doing in response to what's happening around the world?" I was able to confidently say, "I want you to know that First Assembly is already there. Through our ministry partnership, we have boots on the ground. We're delivering relief supplies and have the opportunity to pray with people. And so you can be confident that First Assembly is fully engaged in what's happening." And so for those of you that are partnering with, by the way, just because you're part of the Illinois district, you can communicate to your church family this Sunday that you are a part of responding to those who are hurting, who are experiencing just the challenges. Honestly, not just from Hurricane Helene and Milton, but Convoy of Hope is actually actively involved in 20 disasters around the world. We responded to more than 80 disasters this year. Convoy of Hope, typically in a given year, will help between 30 and 35 million people with a tangible expression of God's love. And I would tell you, Hurricane Milton is our response is very personal to me, in that on Saturday, this past Saturday, Jody and I became, for the first time, we became grandparents. Our grandson Arthur was born in Orlando, and so Jody was down there for the birth of our grandchild. I was on ministry assignment in Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and Chicago. But Jody was able to be there as she was there greeting our first grandchild, getting to hold him. She was also up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get in line at Home Depot because a friend of ours had let us in on an inside scoop that Home Depot was getting some generators delivered, which became pretty important because this morning, our son with our brand new grandchild and our daughter, and her husband, both households are without power, and grateful for the opportunity to at least provide them a generator. But I want you to know this, that Convoy of Hope, oftentimes, and this is true with Hurricane Helene, it's also true with Hurricane Milton, our disaster response team is actually on the move typically before a disaster like this hits. And what they'll do is they'll pre-stage on the edge of the storm. That way they're able to be on site delivering much needed relief even before the winds die down. And Convoy has a great relationship with FEMA. It has a great relationship with, forget about the politics of all that, great relationship with a lot of the disaster arms of state and local governments. And so in a lot of places, even in North Carolina, where they were not letting a lot of folks in, Convoy of Hope consistently, because of our testimony, because of our reputation, gets in. I want you to know this, that today in Hurricane Milton's response, together, Illinois District family, we have delivered more than 124 semi-loads of relief supplies. That's food, that's flood cleanup kits, it's for household resources, household goods. More than 100,000 people have been served in 44 communities in 6 states. In little places like Dragon Mountain, Virginia, never heard of it before, but entire community that was closed off. Fortunately, Convoy and the team were able to get in and provided much needed relief there. We've done mass distribution for a number of days in Asheville, North Carolina, and in Perry, Florida, and then also involved in Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina. And here's what I do love as well. I love the fact that because of the way the body of Christ works, that Convoy of Hope will be on site long after the news team stop reporting and the media cameras stop rolling. Convoy of Hope stays and gets the job done. Every ministry that Convoy of Hope engages in, and this is true with our disaster response, everything that we do through the local church, which, by the way, it's the reason why we're finding a little more often Convoy of Hope is making the news, but oftentimes Convoy of Hope doesn't make the news because we work really hard to make sure that the church is the hero, because we know this, that the church is the answer for the community. And so what we'll do is we'll set up in a local church. Convoy comes totally self-contained. We've got a mobile command center. We've got shower units. We've got housing units. We've got feeding kitchens. So when a disaster strikes, the last thing that we want to do is create an additional burden for a community. So all we need is a place of bare ground to set up a church parking lot, and typically within just a few hours, distribution and relief and helping people clean up, delivering food from door to door. Typically that can start rolling. So let me say this on behalf of members of my church family in the last church that I served in Orlando. Thank you for standing with them. Thank you for standing with them in prayer. Thank you for standing with them. Thank you for this Sunday giving your church an opportunity to give. Know that it will make a difference. And I'll offer this one last comment as a lead pastor of 22 years. Here's what I found. I found this, that when I gave my church family the opportunity to engage in a compassion moment, that it did not detract from the general fund. You'd have a few people that would redirect giving, but what would happen is it would foster a greater spirit of generosity in the church family. And so actually my general fund, anytime that we would engage in a compassion offering, my general fund the following Sunday would go up and it would stay up. And so let me encourage you, even if the funds are not sent, not distributed through Convoy of Hope, let me encourage you this Sunday, give your people the opportunity to be a part of making a difference. And know this, that that God's promises, that they apply regardless of what your economic bracket is, and giving your church family the opportunity to engage, it's going to position them for God's favor. So that's just a quick pastoral comment. But I do want to say, on behalf of the more than 100,000 people that have been served, and my guess that by the time we're done, it'll probably end up being about 400,000 people in the response to Helene and Hurricane Milton. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your faithfulness.
And thank you so much. That is so powerful. So let's talk about one of your statements there, Ed, that every church this Sunday can simply say, hey, we're going to take up an offering to help with the hurricane response, these 2 hurricanes. So, and just by doing that, it really has a spiritual impact on the local church body, doesn't it?
Yeah. So Phil, and you know this, you know my story. At the 4 churches that I served as lead pastor, all 4 of them, when I got there, had significant financial difficulty. And here's what we did. We said, we're going to give our way out of this. And so all 4 of those churches, it would have been very easy to say, you know what, where we're at financially, it wouldn't be good for us to participate in this offering right now. But knowing God's principles and his promises made it super easy to engage. And I will tell you, the person with experience is not at the mercy of the person with theory. And having experienced it, I'm telling you, Pastor, lean into that. What it will do for your church, it'll bless your church just as much as it'll help the people in these storm-ravaged areas.
Yep, absolutely. So we would just encourage every church, every pastor this Sunday to say, hey, you know what, folks, as a part of our worship to the Lord today, we're going to take up an offering for hurricane relief, for disaster relief. And then we threw the link up there. You can simply go to convoyofhope.org, and you can right at the front page, donate here. So once you take up an offering, just log on there. They'll help you to go ahead and give you information how to receive that.